Welcome to My Long Island TV. From Manhasset to Montauk, we have traveled our communities to bring you the following events. I'm your host, Waldo Cabrera. My Long Island TV starts now.
Hello, I'm John Owens, editor-in-chief of Anton Community Newspapers, a group of 18 newspapers covering most of Nassau County. Our guest today is Senator Jack Martins, a Republican running for re-election here in the 7th Senate District. So what are you most proud of achieving in the 3.5 years you've been in office?
You know what? It's the work we've done together, John. In these last 4 years, we've had 4 balanced budgets working together. We've cut taxes working together. We have paid off debt, streamlined government, kept spending below 2% each one of those years. Remarkable achievements if you only contextualize it with where we were 4 years ago.
Now you're saying together. What do you mean? Bipartisan?
Bipartisan. You know, we do have a Democrat governor, and you know, I do tip my cap to Governor Cuomo, and he has been a great partner these past 4 years. But you know, working with the Assembly and our colleagues in the Assembly, and I have, you know, a great relationship with our local Assembly members, whether it's Michelle Schimmel or Chuck Levine, being able to pass things and legislation, but also philosophically defending suburban communities from overspending.
Well, speaking of taxes and such, how about the 2% tax cap here in the local communities for the school districts?
Something had to happen. People couldn't continue to pay at 8 or 9% increases per year. The tax cap is a blunt instrument, but it's worked. And if anything, we've seen that our school districts are providing the same quality education, although there have been concerns about layoffs, and I understand them. But I do agree that we need to provide some stability because the taxpayers simply can't pay any more than they are right now.
What are the 3 big issues you think in this election?
It's quality of life, it's taxes, it's economic opportunities. We have challenges in schools. We want the best for our kids. We want to make sure that they have opportunities. To have opportunities, they need educational opportunities as well. But we also want to make sure that when our kids graduate from college or when they go on to careers, that they have opportunities, that the business climate here in New York State will afford them the opportunity not only to find a job, but to find success and to be able to stay here.
Now you've worked very hard on the opioid problem, the heroin. Sure. Talk to us about that.
The heroin epidemic is affecting Long Island in ways that it doesn't affect anyone else. We have kids who are dying literally every day, certainly overdosing every day, but yet we don't hear that much about it because there's a stigma associated with it. Our challenge is, one, how do we cut off the supply? We worked on that a few years ago by passing I-Stop, so we made the prescription drug abuse issue much less certain. We removed that as an issue, but then we may have forced kids into heroin because they were looking for alternatives. Now it's up to us to make sure that we educate a new generation on this addiction.
Women's rights, women's health,
sure.
Issues like that have been very big in the legislature this year.
Women are earning 77% of what a man earns doing the same job. It's unacceptable. We have opportunities to pass legislation to provide protections in the workplace, not only for discrimination, for equal pay, domestic violence. We have passed them. I'm concerned that there have been efforts to hold up passing the legislation because they've identified 10 different pieces. We've passed 9. We can agree on 9. The 10th piece has been problematic because we haven't been able to build consensus around, and so frankly, it doesn't have the votes. So if it doesn't have the votes, and we know it doesn't, neither on the Democrat side or on the Republican side, we should pass the 9. We should allow for equal pay, domestic violence protections, workforce protections for our children, for our girls that are out there, for the women that are in the workplace. And we'll deal with abortion along the way. A woman's right to terminate a pregnancy is something that needs to be discussed openly. But I do believe, and I've said this clearly, we have a responsibility not to overhype legislation. We have a responsibility to speak honestly about things. And the idea of allowing for non-doctors to perform abortions and to allow abortions to late term or even to birth is something that I will not support. I will not allow, and I will not support expansion of abortion. But we should have those discussions. They should be held on the floor, and we should have a rational and honest debate without trying to overhype it for political purposes.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I'm John Owens, Editor-in-Chief of Anton Community Newspapers. I'd like to thank Senator Jack Martins for joining us today.